Good morning, fellow model railroaders. Stephen Priest here with Class1modelworks.com. It's storytelling time, so we're going to talk a little bit about the TWF10s, and a little bit about the history, and a little bit about my history and why we became interested in producing this particular model as an actual car. It comes from actually having personal experience with these, and quite a bit of personal experience. Back in the early 1990s, I had worked in the Santa Fe engineering department, and they had a whole bunch of openings that suddenly came available in train service. So I thought, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get my union card and be able to have some protection in the railroad, which is what the union card will afford you. So I went from the engineering department back out into train service and was a switchman, conductor, and engineer. And they were just starving for people at that time, the Santa Fe. This was the Santa Fe at that time. And so we went clear through the program and were forced from being a switchman to the conductor position and then right into being an engineer. But during that time, we worked out of Argentine, which is a Santa Fe now BNSF's large yard in Kansas City. And one of the jobs that we would catch regularly would be the sunflower lift job, the piggyback jobs, which worked off the fast tracks, which were tracks that were built in the yard to allow the piggyback traffic to really get in and out quickly. It's kind of like a main line right to the piggyback facility. So anyway, our job would be to do cuts and fills for the hot piggyback trains. So the hot piggyback trains would come in, the head end power would go down and sit at the fueling racks, and while they were fueling, we would be adding and filling and making cuts to the rear of the train. And those cuts would come out of the sunflower lift or the piggyback facility, where they had the big straddle loaders that were loading and unloading the containers here onto and off of the cars. So it gave me a chance to look at all types of intermodal. So we would go set the brakes, hand brakes on the cars, we'd shove them into the strip tracks and tie them down. So basically we did all the spine cars, all the types of well cars, and it allowed me to be up close and take a look at things. So I started noticing several types of cars that stuck out. And what I mean by stuck out is that had unique characteristics to them. And of course, being a modeler, I was interested in this type of thing, but I'm a late 1970s modeler, so the intermodal stuff, really, I wasn't trying to model, but being a modeler, you have that modeler's eye where you kind of look at things and go, hey, this is different. Why is it different? And I wonder what they were doing with that. So just about probably every third or fourth train that would come in would have a few of the TWF10s on it. And the TWF10s, of course, were unique, not just because they were single well cars, but they were a very heavy duty well car. And the heavy duty means that they had a higher capacity than other cars because they were a single unit car and they were built to have a higher capacity. So if the railroad needed to load containers that weighed more than could be handled by a standard spine car or other standalone cars, the TWFs were the cars that those were loaded in. So the TWF10s, pardon me, were the cars that those were loaded in. So we would often have to switch and or spot the TWF10s on the ramp for heavier containers. And so we began to look at those, and of course I began to notice the side sills and the covered trucks, and of course in switching you're looking at stuff, you notice the wheels were closer together on them, and so they quickly became one of the cars that I kind of looked for. There's one of those cool TWF10 cars. And so that's basically where my interest in the cars came from, and a little history for you guys to understand what was neat about the cars, unique about the cars, and my experience with them, and of course your experience with them as well. So remember, here at Class1modelworks.com, we help people build state-of-the-art model railroads.